You've got Chelsea Blue 93. And you got the PQ Premier in red. Boys under 17 at championship game. I'm Greg GK Porter with George on the camera. This is Landsman Productions. We'll be back with the starting of this championship match in just a moment. Let's get the rosters for both teams. First for Chelsea, B93, they're in blue. The head coach is Gabe Smith. The team manager is BC Aduguwe. The keeper is Chris Bean. 00 is Daniel Solis. Number 3 is Tyler Vallejo. Number 5 is Juan Melendez. Number 6 is Toby Aduguwe. Number 8 is Quade McGonigal. Number 9 is Octavio Diaz. Number 10 is Henry Valadares. Number 11 is Brandon Giampaolo. Number 12 is Pedro Lino. Number 14 is Edgar Bahena. Number 16, or first number 15 is Edgar Reveles. Number 16 is Willie Esquivel. Number 17 is Omar Castro. 21 is Andrew Lane. 23 is Andrew Song. 24 is Brandon Toe, and number 25 is Alan Calomino. And we are underway. As going from left to right is Chelsea Blue, and right to left is PQ Premier. Let's get the lineup for PQ Premier. They're head coached by Seamus McFadden, and the team manager is Kathy Fowler. Keeper is Tim Hall. Number 3 is Sean Horan as that ball goes out of play. Number 4 is James Haley. 5 is Matt Swartz. Number 6 is Ryan Camara. Number 7 is Christy James Tan. Number 8 is Kyle Hoshino. Number 9 is Tori DeArmas. Number 10 is Jonathan Perez. 11 is Andrew Cabatita. Number 13 is Eddie Irvine. 14 is Sean Fowler. Todd Minerva is number 17. Number 18 is Chris Kuzanowski. Number 20 is Ryan Rohane. Number 19 is G. Way. And that's your lineup for PQ Premier. As it'll be a throw-in for PQ Premier, the far side touchline. Greg GK Porter here on a windy day here in San Bernardino. That ball in the 18-yard box across the mouth of the 18-yard box and out of play. So a chance there by PQ Premier, but they just missed wide of the far post, and it'll be a goal kick. Chelsea Blue 93. In his championship game and a goal kick, Chris Bean into the 18-yard box. Chelsea Blue and his boys under 17 match in their own defensive third. They push down to central, but here's Perez on it. Perez's pass to the wide on the distribution is intercepted. Back with it, Chelsea Blue trying to get onto their own half. Octavio Diaz, and then on the near side, that was Andrew Lane keeping it in. Nice play against the wind, as the wind is going with Wise. Across the field, very strong at times. On a run was Vallejo. And then over to McGonigal, and a pass comes on the near side, out of play. 0-0 to score, but there is a player down on the field, and we'll be back after they check on him. There'll be a substitution coming in for Chelsea Blue. That'll be number 15, Edgar Reveles. Pedro Lino was injured on the play. And a throw in now. Capitina. And all the way down to Chris Bean. So Chris Bean with plenty of time and space driving that ball, and you see how strong the wind can be as it broke that ball down and kept it in their own defensive half. PQ Premier will have those advantages here in the first half. In the box, a challenge, another one, and they're able to win it. Trying to get out of their own box. Trying to put pressure is all the all-red. They can't get the ball up the field as the wind broke that ball down on the near side, and it goes out of play as retreating back was Kuzanowski. For PQ Premier, the throw in now, in his space. On it now is Diaz. Diaz's service intercepted all the way back on a quick counterattack, but no chance for them to get Ryan Kamara to run onto it. The wind is howling over 20 miles an hour at times. Along the far side touchline, it goes out of play. Greg G.K. Porter for LedgeMenProductions.com. And that ball in the 18-yard box as they get it quickly going down the field to put the pressure on Chris Bean and his defenders back there. But they weren't able to keep it in field of play because that ball is going to mess with him on any strike going in that direction. Talking about the PQ Premier in red. Chris Bean going to have to deal with the wind right now. Driving the ball upfield. It will, and it does. It goes right back in his 18-yard box. Bean now off the line, and he watches it go past the goal line. Chris Bean against the wind trying to drive that ball, and it was so strong that it broke the ball down and came right back into the 18-yard box. An advantage for PQ Premier. They just couldn't take advantage of it because it went so fast toward the goal line. Still 0-0 in the first half here at San Bernardino. Windy morning here. Chelsea Blue off the header. Nicely done. Out wide by Reveles. Reveles trying to get a return pass, but his teammate Daniel Solis having a hard time with it. And that ball is knocked out of play by the defender, and that was James Haley in the space. They throw it in. DeCastro. Now their distribution wants to go back south to one of their defenders. But now it's an intercept. But they're able to win that soccer ball into space. But you saw that ball didn't go anywhere. They were trying to go up the field, but they were working against a wall of wind. And now they're able to work it towards the box, but just couldn't quite get another strike on it. And now they've got to run back. But quickly, Chris Bean able to range off to his right towards the top of the box and get to the soccer ball. Falling down, working against a wall of wind. Can't get the ball up too high when the wind is blowing. It's going to work against you, so you got to keep it down low. More of a line drive is going to work in this match if you're Chelsea Blue. And if you're PQ Premier in red, you've got to not strike the ball too hard, because if you do, it's going to be tough for anybody trying to get a run onto it up forward in this 0-0 match. Intercepted in his space. Chelsea Blue in the central. Distribution to the near side now. Working over to Andrew Lane. Lane with the soccer ball. Lane along the near side. He's able to keep it in as it bended perfectly over to Octavio Diaz. Diaz and his switch. He wanted to go across the field to Solis, but now they still have it. trying to go forward to the attacking third. It didn't work out that time, but they still have the soccer ball. On it now is Castro. Castro want to work to the right flank, but intercept as they stiffen up in their left side defense over there. Up the field for PQ Premier, and a touch there by Eddie Irvine, and it goes all the way to Chris Bean, the keeper. 0-0 your score. Here in the first half of action in this boys under 17 championship match of the State Cup. Down to Central, and Chris Bean is able to make the save. But Torrey DeArmas on that strike for the PQ Premier. And that ball goes out of play. The far side touchline, PQ Premier will throw it in. Not a cloud in the sky. Beautiful day if it wasn't for the wind here at San Bernardino. Usually don't see too many soccer games with the wind blowing this hard in Southern California. We have been to Vegas and we've done tournaments over there, and they do have a lot of that. Also in Lancaster, you want to call them a branch of Southern California? I guess so, because they're part of LA County. So, but usually it does get windy here in San Bernardino, but a lot of times we've been able to avert that scenario. On it now is James Haley. Haley along the far side touchline. Couldn't get anybody to run onto it. The throw in by the all blue of Chelsea. And they'll have to retreat back. Chris Bean ranges over to his left off of a bounce. Slingshots it off to the left. Want to get the attack going down that left flank. And a quick touch for Castro. But they give it away. Does Chelsea. And Eddie Irvine working with it. Irvine. And that ball goes out of play. Lastly knocked out by Chelsea to throw in. Now toward the box. And trying to make a move was James Haley. But they stiffened up in their left side defense that time. As Haley trying to make a bid there. Irvine, and that ball is knocked out of play. But Eddie Irvine and company will be able to throw it in for PQ Premier. Ryan Camara will throw it in this 0-0 match, boys under 17 championship. And it's a good throw in. They get a header, but it goes up field, and then they try to get another strike and couldn't quite get one in the central of the box. Now on the wide for PQ Premier, inside the 18-yard box, intercepted nicely by Chelsea. And as they push it upfield now, running onto it is Revelis. Revelis still on a soccer ball. Revelis pass up forward toward that attacking third was intercepted, and along that right flank for PQ Premier, they're able to push it across midfield. Here's Irvine. Irvine now stops the soccer ball. Irvine, nice move around the defender. Irvine still on it, but he gets pressure there. They double team him and take it away from him. Good defensive play for Chelsea Blue along their left side defense. But a foul against PQ Premier. And now Chelsea Blue is able to work with it, trying to get it out of their own half, and that ball knocked out by James Haley. Andrew Song going to throw it in from the far side touchline. Andrew trying to get it into Diaz. Diaz able to keep it in. Diaz trying to go along the left flank, but they took it away from him. In the central now for PQ Premier on the run. On the near side and putting pressure was Andrew Lane on that run. The left flank for PQ Premier, and they're able to throw it in a center circle. Still 0-0 in the first half. Here's Irvine working that ball over to the left flank with DeArmas. DeArmas now in the 18-yard box. His shot is blocked that time. Torrey DeArmas with a blast. He didn't get anything out of it. Good defense as they stood tall in their 18-yard box. Coming back the other way now with Solis. Solis on a soccer ball. Solis under pressure. Daniel Solis still regains it, but he gives it away to Perez. Perez and company now with his soccer ball. In a 0-0 match in a championship one here in San Bernardino. A windy day in San Bernardino.
Next time.
Kusanowski working that ball over to Capentinta. And on the near side, trying to get DeArmas, his service, up in the air, Bean, and it goes past the goal line, but it was lastly touched out by Chelsea Blue, so it's going to be a CK. They got to be careful with the CK, not to strike it too hard. They got to win working in their favor. Struck hard and in the back of the net. I believe it was Irvine. Eddie Irvine, the goal. Go, 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 goal. 1-0. Somehow Irvine was able to get between a couple players, and the trajectory of the ball was struck so hard with much velocity, and Irvine was able to match it with his cleat and put it in the top of the net. No chance for Chris Bean. And I just mentioned they have to be careful with the wind, but they used it in their favor that time, and it worked perfectly. 3 substitutions coming in, 10, 11, and 15 for Chelsea Blue. That's Henry Valadares, Brandon Giampaolo, and also Edgar Reveles. I believe it was Edgar that was hurt. And that ball goes past the goal line. 1-0 on Irvine, strike in the top part of the net. And the visitors from San Diego able to get the lead in this match. The championship one. Chris Bean now and his team got some work to do. Try to match that 1 goal. But they got plenty of time here in the first half. Let's see if they can get the equalizer. Or see if they will get the equalizer. Now on the left flank, Chelsea Blue on that service toward the central. And it was intercepted that time by Perez, hit all the way down the field. Chasing after it is Camara. And that ball goes out of play. As good play along the left flank. That left defensive spot, just outside the 18-yard box. Greg G.K. Porter, happy to be with you here in this championship match, along with George Langevin on the camera. Here's a shot on a side by Chris Bean. Chris Bean going towards the near post to rob Chris Kusanowski on the blast. Otherwise, it would have been 2-0. Kusanowski kind of snuck up into space. They weren't expecting him to take advantage of the wind, and he blasted it. But Chris Bean was strong between the 2 pipes now again, and that ball goes past the goal line after the CK. As PQ Premier trying to get the 2nd goal. Ryan Camara taking advantage of it on the assist to Eddie Irvine in the 1st goal, and there he was trying to do it again. And a little bit of, for the center ref, a little bit of understanding for number 14, Sean Fowler, of the way he's supposed to play in this match, the way the center ref's going to call it. Rebelis having trouble. He's got now support in the central. Vallejo. Vallejo in the 18-yard box. Again, in the first half, Chelsea Blues going to be working against the wind. It's going to be tough. But if they can sneak one in the first half, then they know they're going to be working with the wind in the second half. That is the challenge. Valladares shielding the defender there, as you just saw. Getting it to McGonigal in the central. McGonigal back to Valladares. Valladares, a quick touch, and he gets it up forward now. Nicely done. Getting it over to Diaz, and then a shot. And Tim Hall, who hasn't seen much action due to the wind. All the way down, Chris B just watches it go all past the goal line, and it's 1-0 match on the goal by Irvine for PQ Premier in red. If you just checked into us. Chelsea Blue, the team that beat the Arsenal in the quarterfinals and West Coast in the semifinals. Trying now to win the championship in the boys under 17. In the State Cup 2011 and in the 18-yard box. That ball sent all the way down, and Chris Bean decides, I'm going to go after it. He could have let it go past the goal line, but he decided, I'm going to go get the soccer ball. Vallejo, Tyler Vallejo, and his pass goes awry. Struck it not the way he wanted to. And so they'll throw it in. PQ Premier, Capentinta. And it's 1-0 match, and it went kicking up again. Chris Bean has to decide how he wants to drive the soccer ball. He gets it up in the air, but it doesn't go that far. And again, helping out PQ Premier. But Vallejo is able to run onto it. Vallejo, distribution out wide, and that ball is not kept in by Andrew Song. So it's a throw-in. PQ Premier, far side touchline. The header still in the near side, or the near side and far side of the field if you're over there for PQ Premier. Quade McConaughey, he had a touch in this sequence. Giampaolo and Brandon fell down, and they're able to push the ball along the right flank. James Haley, and it goes out of play. Haley not able to keep it in, working against the wind on that right flank. Or working, I should say, with the wind, but the speed of the wind playing havoc with the soccer ball at times. Here in the first half for PQ Premier, that's the thing they have to deal with. And they won't have to worry about that in the second half. However, they'll be working against the wind. Nicely done that way by Aduguwe. And Toby has played well off that left defensive spot in the first half. For Chelsea Blue, Kuzanowski setting it up. Chris, who took that shot and almost beat Chris Bean. In-swinger, and you got to be careful trying to do an in-swinger with the wind if you're PQ Premier, as it just rid over the top of the net. And he probably wanted to try to do an outswinger that turned into a in-swinger. And it just swung over the top of the net, and that ball is out of play, but they're able to throw it in now. In this 1-0 match, trying to add Aduguwe up high. And in a central, but Chris Bean is able to find it, protect that near post. Chris Bean has played well here in the first half, keeping his team within one. Up in the air, though, dealing with the wind. After the 50-50, Eddie Irvine has to be careful. He had that cleat up high in the center circle. Chelsea Blue now, they push it across midfield for a run by Giampaolo. Brandon stops the soccer ball and gives it to McGonigal. As they continue down the left flank, chasing after it is Giampaolo. Giampaolo still staying on the soccer ball, but a lot of pressure there by Matt Swartz in his space, and it turns out to be a foul. Swartz a little bit too much body on that far side. So it'll be a free kick for Tyler Vallejo and his team, trying to get one on the keeper. As it goes to Hall, and was there a handball in the box? If there's a handball in the box, it is a penalty shot. It is going to be a penalty shot now for Chelsea Blue. Oh, you don't want to do that if you're PQ Premier in a game where you've had the win working for you. And you haven't had many shots at your keeper. And now you make a mistake in your 18-yard box. Tyler Vallejo with the chance here, trying to tie up the match. It's the advantage of the striker. And he puts it in the back of the net. Go! Go, 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 go! La! Tyler Vallejo puts it in the near post to beat Tim Hall, and it is 1-1. After they had a handball in the 18-yard box. And so Chelsea Blue get the equalizer, and now they have a couple of substitutions. Juan Melendez comes into the match, and Edgar Bahena is in the match, number 14. Bahena, and now he's at handball, but he's not in the 18-yard box. So it's a free kick for PQ Premier. At midfield, though, Kuzanowski, and off to the right to Swartz. Back to Kuzanowski. Remember, he can take a long blast. Aduguwe. His pass was intercepted by Swartz. Matt Swartz down to central, and nobody there. The closest man was Ryan Camara, number 6. Chris Bean. Chelsea Blue off the header as McGonigal was backing up a little bit. Here is Kuzanowski on a run along the left flank. He's got a lot of pressure, and there's going to be a foul and maybe a card, a yellow card, goes against Tyler Vallejo. He who just scored the goal has to be careful. Obviously, he is valuable to his squad. Chris Kuzanowski, and you remember Chris Bean robbed him of making it 2-0 a little while ago. PQ Premier with a free kick. But again, the wind, they have to be careful how they strike the soccer ball. Kuzanowski looking for somebody to hit it, and he just couldn't quite get it to be brought down. They had 3 players into space in that 6-yard box, but they weren't able to bring that soccer ball down. It was going to be tough anyway because of the wind. But Kuzanowski, the try, he got it primarily where he wanted to, and that would have been interesting to see if there were no wind to speak of this morning. Oduguwe couldn't get to the soccer ball. Chris Bean, and he reaches out with one hand, is able to knock that ball past the goal line. And they don't say he got a hand on it, so it'll be a goal kick. But that was scary because Chris Bean had to get to that soccer ball because it would have went inside that far post. Again, they're able to, Brandon Toe comes in. Number 24, PQ Premier utilizing the wind. and just some of their play is able to sneak up on Chelsea Blue at times. And it's going to be a free kick, foul into space for the red and black of PQ Premier here in this first half. Hope you're enjoying all the match with your snack and your beverage. Ryan Camara off one of the Chelsea Blue players, and it goes out of play. Nice block there. Bahena into space. Edgar using his body. Not allow that soccer ball to go any further. But they get an opportunity in the attacking third to throw it in. Ryan Camara inside the central of the box. Can they get another strike? They're trying to. Oh, it was knocked away. It might have hit the top of the post. Chris Bean helping that ball not go in the back of the net. Again, utilizing the wind, trying to get somebody to run onto it in the 18-yard box. And that ball is going to go past the goal line. But he says it's going to be the center ref, a CK. And about the third or fourth one here for PQ Premier in the first half. Ryan Camara, outswinger, trying to get somebody to get to it, and he could not. Still 1-1 here in the first half. Time running down here in the first half between the PQ Premier and Chelsea Blue 93 in his Boys Under 17 championship match. State Cup. And a substitution for PQ Premier. And when we'll mention any substitutions, if we do not see them as they touch that soccer ball. And one of them is in field of play now, and that is G-Way, number 19. They try to strike it again, and he whiffed on it. Capentita, Andrew Capentita trying to get to the soccer ball, but good play on the outside of the 18-yard box by Chelsea Blue.
Nice job, boys!
Now it's going to be a throw-in for PQ Premier in his 1-1 match in the 18-yard box as that ball harmlessly goes past the far side touchline as the wind kicks up again. And they're going to get an opportunity as it was knocked off by Chelsea Blue for a CK. The 6-1, Chris Kuzanowski. He goes low this time, and he nearly had somebody put it in the back of the net. Kuzanowski, the line drive effect, and he nearly gave his team the lead with that line drive. He's been dangerous, Chris Kuzanowski, number 18. So is number 6, Ryan Camara on the CKs. And now coming in, Omar Castro. Kuzanowski can also strike from out there on a free kick in the attacking third. And here's one, and they're going to have to range over to their right side defense to get to the soccer ball. Here's Irvine, who scored the lone goal, but he's dispossessed. Up the central now, but PQ Premier winning it. They worked to Irvine, but he couldn't hold on to the soccer ball. Irvine going after it again, and it goes to Kuzanowski. He stops the ball nicely. Kuzanowski still on the ball. Kuzanowski weaving his way to the central. He goes down, and he can't go any further that time. Kuzanowski had a pretty good little run for PQ Premier, but he lost his balance on the play. In the central. Now here's Camara. Ryan Camara being challenged there. Camara loses the soccer ball, and it'll be a throw-in for Chelsea Blue. Camara disrupted a little bit, and the center ref says play on. 1-1 your score here in the first half. Going after the soccer ball. DeArmas, he goes down. Torrey DeArmas, number 9. And just a little verbal warning by the center ref. After the throw-in, PQ Premier will be able to throw it in again. Matt Swartz from the far side touchline. Looking up forward, try to get it to a teammate into space. That didn't happen. In their own defensive third, Chelsea Blue now working out of it now to the central to get it over to Omar Castro. Castro works out wide. Ball along the left flank, trying to get back to it is Andrew Song, and that ball goes out of play. It'll be a throw-in for PQ Premier.
Keep working, Chelsea!
Boys Under 17 championship match on a picture-perfect day, except for the 20-mile-an-hour winds at times. Here in San Bernardino, Greg G.K. Porter, happy to be with you, along with George Langevin on the camera for Langevin Productions. Into space. Now on the soccer ball. Continuing there was Brandon Giampaolo, but he couldn't go any further as they stiffen up in their 18-yard box. And Chris Beam back on the counterattack for PQ Premier, able to push that ball upfield. Now they have to retreat back as running onto it is a striker on the outside of the 18-yard box, and a player goes down for PQ Premier, but no call by the center ref. Chris Bean has it. Moments left here in the first half in this 1-1 match. Off of the bounce. Chelsea Blue working with it. Out wide now for Toe. And he can't get to it, but it's okay. It was lastly off of PQ Premier. So their attack can continue. In this 1-1 match, the championship one. It'll be a throw-in from the far side touchline. Chelsea Blue in a defensive half of PQ Premier. The distribution is along the right flank, and it's up forward to Melendez. Melendez, and he nearly was able to get somebody to run onto it, but the ball kept bending away. Man, able to get to it was Tim Hall. Hall, the keeper, all the way down. Adugu way, keeping it from going further. Toby, nice play, but here's Camara. Camara weaving his way inside the box, but his pass is in the central of the box and nobody was there. Except for a player on the other team, Willie Esquivel. Substitutions now for PQ Premier. Number 7 and 17, Todd Minerva is in the contest, and Christy James Tan inside the 18-yard box, but Adugu is able to win that soccer ball, push it upfield. Now going down on the play was Hoshino, Kyle Hoshino, and it'll be a throw-in. Hoshino, in his attempt to get to the soccer ball, went down into space. The ball now over to Hoshino. All right, that was Quade McGonigal, excuse me. Over to Andrew Lane and company across midfield. And that ball goes out of play on the near side. Melendez, Juan Melendez gets a return pass, nicely done by his teammate Castro, and it goes across widthwise to the 18-yard box, but on the other side they've got Andrew Song. Song trying to get it to his teammate, and that didn't work out as Ushino gets it, push it across midfield. It's going to go all the way down. Will Chris Bean get to it? He does. And he was shepherded by his teammate to protect against the striker getting to it first. In the central. Now it's the giveaway over to G-Way, and an offsides call. G-Way felt he had something going with his teammate, but they were a little bit too ambitious on the play. So it's going to be a free kick for Chelsea Blue. 1-1 the championship match of the boys under 17. On the low line drive, 2 players going down, but the last one to touch it was PQ Premier's Sean Horan. Sean's dad is a captain who just returned from being overseas, served with him in the United States Navy. Going to be a throw-in for Chelsea Blue. Getting it up forward to throw it in again. Bahena, but now to give it away. Adugaway running back to get to the soccer ball. Toby Adugaway now try to get to it, but they're able to get to it first. On the exterior of the box with Camara, and he knocks it off of Adugaway, and Ryan is able to throw it in. Soon the center ref and his double whistle in a very action-packed first half. Come up in the 18-yard box. And that ball is brought down. In a defensive half, moving up. Melendez, Juan Melendez dispossessed there, as you see, by Rohane and company. Rohane now pushing that ball off of a strike there by G-Way, but he couldn't get it over to Irvine. But they have it now in the central with Hoshino, but there was a call. Toby Adugawa has been playing great in a left side defense for Chelsea Blue. If I was calling it Adugawa, it's Adugawa. A player for Chelsea Blue, and he might have got hit up in the neck area, and he might decide to sub, and they're going to sub for him. And that's Brandon Toe was struck up near the head area, and Adugawa, the team manager, BC, going to take care of his player there. And any substitutions I miss, I will mention them as they touch that soccer ball. And it's going to be a foul, and a foul is going to work against Chelsea Blue in this 1-1 championship match. Kuzanowski, Chris, who has been deadly in his first half with his strikes.
Don't let him get in front of you.
Nearly resulted earlier, as I mentioned, in the second goal. But a great save by Chris Bean. Here he tries again, and he slows it up a little bit, and Bean almost gave up a rebound. He is able to get to the soccer ball as he went in a cradle position to keep it from going away from him. And if that would have happened, PQ Premier was right there. Nice decision by Chris Bean. He's played well here in the first half. The keeper for Chelsea Blue, 93. Center ref looking at his watch. This one up in the air. The wind had died down, so he was able to strike that ball, but he did do it widthwise across the field, so that helped out. As you've seen, a lot of his strikes have been brought down right back at him. One nearly went back into the net early in this match. Talking about Chris Bean, the keeper for Chelsea Blue. Along the right flank. But they won't have to worry about that here in a couple of minutes or so, as they will have the wind working for them in the second half. And that's something that Tim Hall, who hasn't had to do much, will have to be worried about in the second half. Substitution now coming in is Edgar Reveles, number 15, and he comes out for Edgar Bahena, who worked well here in the first half for Chelsea Blue. In his space Chelsea Blue, they got a couple of players trying to get to the soccer ball, having troubles, but it was knocked out by PQ Premier. Seamus McFadden, the head coach of USD, University of San Diego. Squad all tied up here with Gabe Smith squad, Chelsea Blue. The throw in, Adugawa trying to get it to Octavio Diaz, and Diaz couldn't get to the soccer ball. It goes out of play. Give way after the throw in, Haran throwing it in. Along their left flank. It was trying to curl back for Ravelas, but he didn't get to it. But they still have it. Chelsea Blue up the central, taken away by Kuzanowski. They still have it at midfield. Got around Irvine. Up the strike there by McGonigal. And against the win, a strong one right now. Trying to get in the 18-yard box, and it curls away. They tried to get a player to get to it. That was Hoshino. And now here's the strike, but they're not going to be able to get anything out of that one. The wind played tricks with the ball there. And a beautiful play by Melendez. Trying to get somebody in the central, he could not. And these are the things that PQ Premier is going to have to deal with in the second half. Adugawa shepherding Camara away from the soccer ball. It goes past the goal line. And it'll be a goal kick. 1-1 your score in the boys under 17 championship match. The finals, of course, the same as saying a championship match. And holding the shoulder there is G-Way. And G-Way is heading toward the sidelines, and he's holding that shoulder down on the left shoulder. And we hope he'll be okay. He took a strike of somehow. Coming in now, Torrey DeArmas for him. Playing up forward. They've been in at the same time before, I believe, in the match. Trying to get after it is Chris James Tan, and DeArmas in the area. Chris James Tan, or Christy James Tan. He's number 7 out there for PQ Premier. Going to be a throw-in on the near side, and off the near side touchline. Into the 18-yard box, but headed out as Camara a bit after the throw-in. And getting to the soccer ball is Juan Melendez. And that's a double whistle. The end of a first half filled with a lot of wind. It is 1-1, PQ Premier and Chelsea Blue 93. We'll be right back with the second half after you see a little bit of what the coaches are trying to instruct their players. Stick with us. All right, the second half set to get underway here in this championship match of the boys under 17. Chelsea Blue will be going from right to left, and PQ Premier left to right. They will be able to use the win in the second half, and coming off his line is Tim Hall. He's going to have to deal with the win, and his teammates going to get a lot more action than what they had in the first half. One your score. Calomino, who got that soccer ball in, to Giampaolo, and up to Castro, and that ball is awry of the near post, off the strike of Omar Castro, trying to test Tim Hall. The goal kick now. And they have to deal with that win, and they try to get it upfield, it cannot. It's knocked down. Again, another try by PQ Premier to go upfield. PQ Premier down their left flank. As Camara, you saw what he could do in the first half. He goes down and gives way of the soccer ball. Chelsea Blue now on the right defense. Left defense has proved strong in that first half. Camara trying to make a move. Melendez was strong in the space. They throw it in. Again, Ryan Camara. And an offside call. Unless that ball was out of play, it was out of play. So throw in on the far side touchline, Chelsea Blue. In the central, Rebella's working hard. Rebella's against Irvine. And the ball goes over to Omar Castro. Castro trying to send that ball on the near side to Giampaolo, and he wasn't able to get to it. The ball with geometric designs as it started off, and they're still there. But they've got different things on that soccer ball nowadays. There's old black and white with those geometric designs as Duguwa drives it out of play. Of the world's most famous sport, football. In most countries, soccer. In this one, we got another sport called football. Throwing it in is Haley. Looking for Irvine. James Haley. Man, it's taken away here on a speedy Omar Castro. Castro working down a central, driving defenders back. Retreating them back, and a strike that time by Quay McGonigal. Nothing there for anybody to get to. Well, maybe he's just trying to gauge that win for further action here in the second half. That Tim Hall, the keeper, will have to deal with and his defenders upfield. McGonigal bringing it down. In the central now, the header. Going after it there is Haley. Haley under a lot of pressure as Giampaolo was trying to get to it. McGonigal went right by it as they drew it back, or Irvine did. And a strike up forward now. Here's Camara. You know he's got speed. Ryan Camara, service into the 18-yard box. It didn't get to his teammate, DeArmas. Nicely done by Oscar Diaz, or Octavio Diaz. I don't know who Oscar is. Must be his brother or relative. Probably not. Into the 18-yard box now. As a big play, Chris Bean makes a save. And ranging back to get to the soccer ball is Omar Castro. Castro along the left defense side, pushes it up forward. Irvine trying to get to it, but he cannot. As nicely done by Esquivel, getting to it. In the central. Now over to Giampaolo. Brandon Giampaolo stopping the soccer ball nicely. Giampaolo getting it over to Diaz. Diaz service, and it turns out to be a ball behind the net. As the wind didn't allow him to do what he wanted to do with it. The goal kick. Upcoming for PQ Premier, who got to this match by beating two clubs, CSC SD and Palmdale and Bush, to get to this championship match in the boys under 17 in the State Cup. The throw in now by Colomino, and Colomino now off of a rebound, and his drive is way too far from the back post. 1-1 your score. I'm Greg G.K. Porter along with George Langevin on the camera. Happy to be with you here in San Bernardino, although windy morning turned to afternoon here. Both teams having to deal with it on the field. I'm sure you probably hear it a little bit whistling through on the audio side, and a whistle now in his space. And that's going to work against PQ Premier. As Juan Melendez going down. Going to be a free kick. No yellow card drawn on that one. Brandon Giampaolo setting it up. Giampaolo left foots it, and a save by Tim Hall. That was a tough strike, and Tim Hall able to make the save. Upfield, PQ Premier off the 50-50, and getting to it is McGonigal, serving it down that central, but his teammate was not able to get to it, and that would have been Revelis. And a foul. It'll be a free kick. Omar Castro, the foul. PQ Premier with plenty of time here in the second half. They got their goal in the first half by Andy Irvine. And it stood up for a long time until they had a handball in the box, and Tyler Vallejo got their goal. The Chelsea Blue off the penalty shot. In the 18-yard box. A block trying to get a subsequent strike. Over the top of the net. Torrey DeArmas, a lot of work there in the central of the 18-yard box. The goal kick, Chelsea Blue. Ryan Camara took that shot. He just wishes he had another chance at it. In their own defensive third now, as they work to the near side. PQ Premier. Retreating back is Calomino, and he wasn't able to control the soccer ball, so on the near side, James Haley will throw it in for PQ Premier. Haley trying to get to it, and his teammate, they didn't. So now they got to retreat back, as working with it is Octavio Diaz into the 18-yard box, but they were offsides. Octavio Diaz had something going, but his teammate was offsides, and they give way to a free kick after what looked like maybe a pretty good chance offensively. PQ Premier up in the air. Irvine waits for it. He won't be able to get to it, as a taller player did. Good strike there by Omar Castro in his central into the 18-yard box. Giampaolo tried to get to it, and shepherding that ball was Matt Swartz over there. It goes out of play. Past the goal line. Substitutions coming in for the all blue. Chelsea blue 93. And head coach Gabe Smith, he's going to get Tyler Vallejo back in. Scored the lone goal for his squad. And also coming in is Edgar Bahena. And it's 1-1 match. The championship for the boys under 17. To the outside. Castro off the header. Up forward to Vallejo. But he can't hold on to it. Upfield, it was on the intercept. And now onto the foot of Esquivel. Over to Giampaolo. He gets support from Calamino. Back to Castro. His service into the box. Interrupted that time by Sean Fowler. Nice play by Sean Fowler that time. Going after the soccer ball. Getting it out of danger. It's going to be a throw-in from the far side touchline for Chelsea Blue 93. Trying to get a strike onto it, they can't. In the central, upfield, as it goes out of play, they will get to throw it in again. Tyler Vallejo. Trying to get a header, trying to get a strike. Giampaolo, let go! Go, 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 go! Brandon Giampaolo, number 11, the goal for Chelsea Blue 93, and they lead now 2-1. As he was able to be in some space, and he connected with that soccer ball in the back of the net.
Go down.
So now the work has to be done by PQ Premier, and they got to go against the wind in trying to do so. But they have plenty of time. To the outside. After the soccer ball was Andrew Capentinta.
It's pronounced Vallejo for Chelsea. Okay.
A throw-in. Now, PQ Premier. And it goes out of play. It'll be a throw-in. And the wind kicking up big time. The throw-in for Chelsea Blue. Knocked out of play. By the all boo of Chelsea. The throw-in. PQ Premier now, a strike against the wind. And nice job done that time by Adugawa. Toby in the central. A strike. And that ball goes out of play.
Mark up.
Esquivel, nice play, protecting on the outside of the 18-yard box. The throw-in now. PQ Premier, but nicely done that time by Omar Castro. Into the 18-yard box. Adugawa trying to get to it. And in the central of the box. Irvine, and Irvine, Eddie Irvine. Is it a goal or not? Eddie Irvine struck the ball. It went in the back of the net. but the center ref is coming over to the linesman to decide. Eddie Irvine could have a second goal of the match to tie it up as he struck it, had some space, scrambling around as the defenders, and it's no goal.
That's it, oh my God! Let's play some defense!
And the center ref letting Eddie Irvine know what the play was. And obviously PQ Premier not happy about it. It's going to be a free kick. It was a foul in the 18-yard box against the red and black. The game would have been tied. It is not. It is still 2-1. And now PQ Premier will throw it in from the far side touchline.
Hey, I need you to sit a little bit more. You're getting caught too high. All right? Let's be smart back here.
Jim Paulo's goal is the difference in this match for Chelsea Blue 93. A very hotly contested match in this boys under 17 final of the State Cup for 2011. Hope you're enjoying all the action as we watch here from San Bernardino on a windy morning and afternoon here.
Slow, going hard.
Dugawa tried to get to that soccer ball, and he tries to get to it again, having problems, and it's going to be a free kick now, and Irvine goes quickly now, looking for Camara. Ryan Camara's got it now against Adugawa. Camara and Adugawa, 50-50 ball, and he goes after it, and it'll be a throw-in for Chelsea Blue 93 as Adugawa strong into space. And a whistle, and Irvine must be still squawking at the center ref about the play, and he gets a yellow card. Obviously not happy. Thought he had the second goal of the match. But you got to play within the rules in order to do just that. In the estimation of the referees appointed in the match, Alan Calomino drove it out of play. Torrey DeArmas, and now Irvine was showing his speed, and he was dispossessed at the last moment. If they don't dispossess him, he's coming down on Chris Bean. Giampaolo, long ball, it might be too long with that wind, and it goes past the goal line. He was looking for Bahena, and he couldn't get to it. Coming into the match now is Andrew Song again as Calomino comes out and Odugawa comes out. Toby Odugawa comes out now, and it's Octavio Diaz into the match. The service upfield as Brandon Giampaolo didn't want it to go any further. Bringing it up out of his own defensive half was Matt Swartz. And now is Andrew Song, and Song looking for Giampaolo. He pushed it behind him. Into the central. Esquivel, but they give it away. Here's Capentinta, and coming over to get it is Valio.
Come on!
And an offsides call. And a whistle. And a center ref now sees a player go down for Chelsea Blue. I believe that's Andrew Lane, 21. And a center ref now targeting Ryan Camara, and he's warning him as Camara threw that soccer ball down, was really upset. And it happens. In the course of athletic competition in any sport where you're not happy with what the refs are calling. And the key of it, the trick is to try to play with what they're calling as you play within the rules. Because at the end of the day, they have the control of the match or the game. Now it's going to be a free kick. PQ Premier up in the air, brought down by the wind. Irvine now. Irvine strikes it. Out wide. Got somebody running onto it. Capetinta. Capetinta's pass is intercepted by Valio. And if you're wondering why it is Valio, or who is that a new guy? I was calling him Vallejo, and that's what was given to me, so it's Valio. Tyler, who scored the goal on a penalty shot. Chris Bean tells his defenders, you don't have to be close. I can drive it down the field. I got the wind working for me. Down to central. And a call by the center ref. Going to be a free kick. PQ Premier down by 1. Time is not their friend. They have still plenty of it here in the second half. But as each time that the clock is, or each time the play is stopped, it's working against them. They need to keep it in the field of play, and they need to keep it in a defensive half of Chelsea Blue. Working against the wind, and that's the hard part of it. It's not going to be easy, but so far they've worked pretty good in getting that ball in a defensive third. But they're going to have to get a quality shot because Chris Bean is not going to give them much of a chance. And his defenders have been tough in this match. The ball goes out of play now, and it is on the far side touchline. It's going to be a throw-in by Valio. Tyler. Up in the air, the header. He's got a strike by a teammate, and they have a chance to add the extra goal. But not quite, as it goes awry. Omar Castro, the initial strike, had players there in around a 6-yard box. They must have been offsides, as you can see. Free kick, a little too ambitious. In the central, Irvine going down, and he's going to draw the foul. Free kick. And the center ref helping up Omar Castro. Young man playing tough in this match for Chelsea Blue 93. Kuzanowski, as you know, he can drive the ball hard. DeArmas, after his strike, it goes out of play at a far side touchline. Throw in for PQ Premier, down by 1. Kuzanowski, and Bean watches that ball die for Kuzanowski. That's the advantage he'll have in the second half, as Kuzanowski would have had a shot right there to Bean if this was like the first half, as you saw it if you were watching in the first half. Out wide now, As trying to stay after it is Ryan Camara, and he's been working hard. But he has to watch out. He's already been carted up in this match. Camara now throws it in. It dies for Valio, but here's DeArmas. Torrey DeArmas couldn't get to it again after the 50-50. Nice work done by Andrew Lane. Trying to get it going upfield, but a slide tackle, and PQ Premier have it now. Quickly, they look for Irvine. They can't quite get to it. In the central as Hoshino gets there. All the way down, and Tim Hall makes the save. If I said Hoshino, as it's going to be a corner kick now, that was Andrew Song, who was in the central of the 18-yard box, making a great play on that last sequence upfield for PQ Premier. But now, Chelsea Blue, 93, trying to widen their lead with a set piece. They've got close to 10 corner kicks in this match.
Okay.
Brandon Giampaolo setting it up. Will it be an outswinger or in-swinger for Brandon? Giampaolo swinging it in, and it goes across all the way past the goal line. Not easy to do with this wind today.
What happened was his knee was hurting for a while.
And unfortunately, you don't get a chance to see really what the players can do if they're not dealing with massive wind. And a couple players coming in now, Daniel Solis, 00, and also Brandon Toe, 24. As Giampaolo comes out and Melendez. 2-1, the score. Chelsea Blue 93 here in this championship match as Tim Hall makes the save. In the central for PQ Premier. Sean Fowler after the header. Going after it there was Torrey DeArmas. And DeArmas staying after it. DeArmas now pushes that ball up the left flank. You know he's looking for Ryan Camara. Camara now retreating it back. He's working with Kuzanowski. Now he's got another player. It was partially blocked, and going after it is Chris Bean. Bean able to make the save. He had a defender in the 18-yard box that slowed the trajectory of that soccer ball, or slowed down the velocity of the soccer ball, and changed the trajectory too. Center ref now has the soccer ball, and disgruntled fan or player, or not, I should say fan, or father of one of the players maybe. And he holds up the soccer ball, gives it back to Chris Bean. And then driving it all the way down off of a bounce, and it goes past the goal line. Tim Hall says, I'm glad that it was off to my left a little bit. As the wind carrying that ball up in the air, Solis in the area, but he doesn't get to it as Camara does. Striking it out of play though. Gonna be a throw-in. 2-1 in this championship match of the boys under 17. State Cup 2011. The header by Camara as they try to go up the field, but it can't as Castro gets to it. Getting to it again, staying with it. Castro, he just missed. Omar Castro, good work there in his space. And the attacking third. Number 17 for Chelsea Blue. working against the wind. The header by Torrey DeArmas. Winning it, out chasing it down and trying to put it in the back of the net was Edgar Bahina. And it had too much pace on it. And no problem that time for Tim Hall. And going down as he was struck. And on the near side, staying after is James Haley. Into the central as Ryan Camara came down to central and he just overran a soccer ball. Player down on the field for Chelsea Blue, 93. Center ref doesn't see him, and now he does. Struck on the leg that time, and not feeling too good right about now. Hopefully he can walk it off. That is Octavio Diaz, who was struck. And Diaz will come out. Giampaolo coming in. All the way down to Chris Bean. Bean with the soccer ball. Getting it over to Esquivel. Willie Esquivel now on the ball. His pass is intercepted on the near side by James Haley. Haley showing his speed. James Haley just outside the box. A service, but nobody was there but a foul. And it was just outside the box. Thankfully for Esquivel. Otherwise, they'd have had a penalty shot. But they do have a free kick. And it could be dangerous outside the 18-yard box. On a nice run by James Haley for PQ Premier. Down by 1, 2-1 here in the second half. Greg G.K. Porter with you. George Langevin on the camera here. Watching Chris Kuzanowski on a free kick, and you know how hard he can strike the soccer ball. Kuzanowski goes high and hard and bounds up and around, and it goes over the top of the net. They had a few players, but they couldn't control the soccer ball to bring it down and get it in the back of the net. So averting the big offensive try by PQ Premier there is Chelsea Blue. Chris Beam. Down the central. And on the near side. Man, it was out of play. So it's going to be a throw-in. James Haley will throw it in for PQ Premier. Haley now. Which way is he going to go with the soccer ball? He's going to go over to Eddie Irvine. Irvine chasing it down, and he put pressure on Andrew Song, retreating back. And so now they're going to get to throw it in, and this is Camara. Ryan Camara now on the near side. He'll throw it in for the all red and black. Camara off the header, and it is a goal! Go, 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 goal! 2-2. Number 14, Sean Fowler up high with a header in the back of the net.
Stop, sir. Wait.
And so the offensive attack here in the second half, they're not worried about the win. PQ Premier. And they tie it up. Henry Valadares in for the all blue of Chelsea. Knotted up at 2 here in the second half. We're about halfway through or so in the second half. Both teams playing well in this match all the way down the middle, and a strike that Tim Hall is able to handle. So Fowler and Eddie Irvine scoring the 2 goals for PQ Premier. And Brandon Giampaolo and Tyler Valio scoring the 2 goals for Chelsea Blue, and that ball coming right at us. And getting to it there was Andrew Song. The defender try to get that ball to Valadares. And it goes to the other side and out of play. Daniel Solis will throw it in for Chelsea Blue 93.
Hey, drop!
Irvine trying to get to it. Irvine now is able to run after it again after the throw-in. Chris Bean has it. Irvine along the left flank, putting pressure on the right side defenders. Valadares. And it goes out of play. It'll be a throw-in for PQ Premier. 2-2, your score here in a championship match of the State Cup. PQ Premier will throw it in. Coming out now is Andrew Lane. And if we miss the player coming in, we'll mention him as they touch that soccer ball. Retreating back, PQ Premier as it was sent down at Central. But they work out of their own defensive half. Looking for Irvine, but nicely done by Adugawa to kind of route him away from the soccer ball. Up high. In his 2-2 match now. Song now trying to go down to Central. They wouldn't let him go any further. And a strike, and it goes out of play past the goal line, that time by Brandon Toe. 2-2 your score. Both teams have battled to win in different regards here in this match. But they have found a way to play well. Why not? It's a championship match. And it goes out of play.
Stop, sir.
Far side touchline. Both teams showing why they're in a championship match.
Henry.
In this division of the State Cup, coming in now, Quade McGonigal, number 8 for Chelsea Blue. Throw in, the red and black from the far side touchline. Looking for Irvine in space. He does a bicycle kick, but it's not quite close enough. Surprising defenders that time. Eddie Irvine, number 13, has been a problem for defenders of Chelsea Blue, but so has Camara.
Come on, Chelsea!
In his central, PQ Premier, that's DeArmas up forward, looking for Camara and even further for Capitinta. He didn't get to it, and the counterattack with a blast going awry in the back of the net. But nice job done, putting pressure back on the defenders for PQ Premier. You got the win working for you, Chelsea Blue. Here's Giampaolo, who scored one of the goals. Brandon Giampaolo waits. He has a teammate, but he shoots it way over top of the net. Quade McGonigal has to be careful with the wind not to drive the ball high. More of a line drive. And McGonigal has it back. Looking for Valadares. He didn't get to it. However, and it'll go past the goal line as Edgar Bahina was chasing it down. You saw in about a minute or so, or a minute back or so, of course, number 14, Bahina, there in the central with that run down the right flank. Ranging around trying to get the go-ahead goal. And whoever gets the go-ahead goal, as we have 2 balls in the field, and McGonigal goes after it, and quickly PQ Premier get that other ball out of the field. Song now, Song with 2 players Match it up with him, and then Camara goes after the soccer ball as he retreats back to help out his teammates. Camara now, and the player for Chelsea Blue is able to get to the soccer ball. Here's Camara over his head looking for Irvine. He knows he's somewhere around in there, and Irvine has it. Irvine goes down outside the 18-yard box. It'll be a free kick. Free kick for PQ Premier outside the 18-yard box. Camara on that pass, so to speak, getting it to Irvine. And Irvine drawing a foul into space. Sean Fowler, who scored the goal. Will he drive it? No, he won't. He's just giving some information to try to get it to him, maybe. And it was intercepted. But Irvine tries a heel pass. Were they onside, though? They were offsides. Irvine tried a heel pass, and if his teammates would have been onside, that would have been a difficult play. Irvine showing that he will try and surprise you. Playing up forward as the striker for PQ Premier. With his bicycle tries. His heel passes. PQ Premier will be a Premier type team down the road. It'll be harder, but the play of some of their players in this championship match will help them. But here is Castro up in the air. And a foul. Omar Castro. Company not happy about that foul, but they have to keep their composure. Neither team has had a player ejected out of the match, but they have to keep their composure in a tightly contested 2-2 championship match of the boys under 17 2011 State Cup. There have been yellow cards issued. Center ref trying to calm the minds of both teams. Giampaolo broken down. Valenderas trying to follow it up. And an offsides call. Valenderas, though, was into space, putting all kinds of pressure, was Henry. Up forward, number 10. Giampaolo, a nice service. Song. Valenderas trying to keep it in. And a throw in. Song gets it in the 18. In a central, they stiff it up. Song now. Song stays after it. And a couple players there. Here is 00, Solis, fighting hard for the soccer ball, but it goes up forward now, and they got to retreat back. Camara can't get to it. Valio pushes it out of play, though, as Camara putting pressure on Tyler. Now they're retreating back in their 18-yard box. A Dougal way now, and it goes in the back of the net. It is 3-2 on a goal. Go, 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 go. Andrew Capatita found a way to beat Chris Bean, and it is 3-2. And the red and black are relentless in this match. But does Chelsea Blue still have another way to tie it up? As both teams have been tied twice. Capentinta breaking the tie. Song getting it over to McGonigal. He can't quite get to it. Andrew Song waits for it. The header to Giampaolo in the 18-yard box. He can't get a return, and a bump there. No foul. It goes out of play on the near side. It'll be a throw-in. PQ Premier leading 3-2. The boys under 17 State Cup Championship on the near side. The throw-in for Chelsea Blue. Trying to get a header. They can't quite. And let's see. Center ref coming over and talking to one of the players for Chelsea Blue, but he's not issuing a card. He's issuing a warning. It'll be a throw-in again. They get another chance. The throw-in again. A header. A strike. Trying to get to it as Castro was at the doorstep, but he couldn't get to the soccer ball as Tim Hall gets to it first. The clock working against Chelsea Blue now. Down 3-2. Is not their friend, and an offsides call. Center ref has had his work cut out for him in this match, but he's been rather fair for both teams. And instruction, letting them know, I want you to be in this match all the way to the end, but you've got to find a way to control your activity within the rules. On a soccer ball is Castro in their own defensive half, but they don't want to stay in their own defensive half very long. All the way down, they're onside, and a save by Tim Hall. Hall coming off his line at the top of the box to make the save. The header by DeArmas. Back to Tim Hall, and he has to watch Esquivel coming right at him. And that is the end of the match as PQ Premier win the championship of the boys under 17 in the State Cup 2011. They took the early lead. They were tied behind by one, tied it up again, and they're able to win the championship on a goal by Sean Fowler. Both teams will congratulate each other for the effort that they displayed in this championship match. We hope you enjoyed all the action here on a very wind-swept San Bernardino day. I'm Greg G.K. Porter. With George on a camera, take care of yourself. God bless. And as always, save this one on the hard drive. Bye now.
Toby. Anderson. Pedro. Chris. Tyler. One more. And none of this would happen without a great manager, without somebody who takes care of all those little things that make this happen, and that's BC. Thank you guys.
On behalf of Cal South, we want to present the finalist trophy, BU17 2011 President's Division Tournament to Chelsea FC. Here, should be able to get as many pictures as you want when we get him up against the backdrop. First off, I would like to thank Cal South as always with Daniel McRae and great opportunity for us. So thank you to Cal South. I also wanted to recognize Chelsea coach Daniel in particular. He was very impressed with your team, and really the game could have gone either way at the end. I mean, I think it was really a game of attrition in the end, with the wind playing a big part of it. But my hat's off to you. You get to the final, guys. It's a flip of a coin. Any team's going to walk away with it. So I just wanted to congratulate you for playing great soccer in the spirit of the game, the way a final is supposed to be played. I thought you guys did tremendously well. Thank you. I've always played it kept surprising me as just came to practice. They just found a way to win the game. And just came back with it's up to you. We have to keep finding a way to win. Again, congratulations.
Wake Forest, baby!
And John Horan, let's go. Thank boys. And Chad. Perezzi. Valentino. Torrey. Camaro. And Smith. And the big round of applause for Timmy Phoenix the King. Louis. Todd Manera. And the heart and soul of our team today, Eddie. And Ryan. Go ahead. And Capitito. And that's your great manager, Kathy Fowler. He does all the hard work. have one at home.